Vice President, Stakeholder Engagement and Managing Director, APAC.
Yang berbahagia Dr. Muhammad Awangla, Chairman of MINIC. Friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Jarong, I'm your MC for this morning. I'm the Regional Vice President for Stakeholder Engagement and Managing Director of the ICANN Asia Pacific Office. It is my pleasure to kick off ICANN's 75th public meeting here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Welcome to the APAC region. Welcome to Malaysia. The last ICANN meeting held in Malaysia was 18 years ago in 2004. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the government of Malaysia, particularly the Malaysia Convention and Exhibition Bureau, for supporting this meeting. We were scheduled to be here 2 years ago, but the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted those plans, as with everything else. I'd like to ask people, what skill did you pick up during the pandemic? For me, my COVID-19 skill is cooking. Now, my family thinks that I'm a talented cook, but actually I'm not. Here's my secret. It's the internet. It's so easy to find the best recipes on the internet. And so thank you, internet community, for keeping the internet working. And thank you, ICANN community, for working tirelessly remotely over Zoom for the past 2 years. And now it is so good to finally be able to meet again in person. Now, for those joining us online, we have not forgotten you. Thank you for sharing the pain, staying up to attend the session, even though you're in a different time zone. Now, allow me to hand the floor to our board chair, Martin Botterman, for his opening remarks. Please join me in welcoming Martin.
Removing a mouth mask is a little bit more difficult if you also have hearing aids. And that's one of the things I discovered over time. But otherwise, being safe together makes it possible to meet in a good way together. Selamat datang. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the ICANN 75 Annual General Meeting here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. For those in the room, I invite you to look at your left and at your right. And you may well sit next to somebody you know, but maybe you don't know that person. Well, one thing I can tell you, what you share is the same ambition to support ICANN and support the critical work for one global internet. Also, a big welcome for those joining us online. At ICANN 74, our first hybrid meeting, after more than 2 years only face-to-face meetings at all, we had more than 900 participants online and more than 900 registered and in the room. It was happening in The Hague, which happened to be my city of birth. And for this first meeting, we did manage to really organize things and keep the territory safe and make sure that people appreciated working in it. So after more than 2 years of developing what we think are the best-in-class virtual meetings, we set off well to also develop the best-in-class hybrid meetings. And we hope that this one is a proof of that, and we appreciate all your feedback and help to make sure that the next one is even better. So over the past year, ICANN has been quite successful in advancing important work. It's been a busy yet productive year for the ICANN board as well. COVID times bring challenges in accomplishing work, and to be able to do so, the board held 14 formal meetings, 6 multiple-day workshops, over 20 info calls, and countless committee, caucus, and working group sessions, all in virtual. until we met in The Hague again, just prior to ICANN 74. I think this is an experience we all share, that with the thin spread over time because of the virtual ways, we don't lose much time in travel, but we do spend a lot of time in switching from one to another meeting and have more meetings to understand each other well. So with that, I'd like to report on a number of actions taken by the board this year. First, on new GTLD subsequent procedures. We asked the organization to conduct an operational design phase to assess the recommendations in the GNSO's final report on this, as to stand ready to move forward in a responsible way. The ODP, as we call it, a new acronym, focuses on assessment of the risks, costs, and infrastructure needed for the initiatives, with a mechanism to test ideas and assumptions with the community before a decision is taken by the board to accept the policy recommendations. And this is really keeping in line with our strategic goal to plan a properly funded, managed, and risk evaluated new round of GTLDs that reflects that we learned from what we've done so far together. Another important topic has been DNS abuse, a topic high on the mind of many. And in the ICANN community, a lot of different discussions taking place on that as well. The board created a caucus group on that to specifically explore what is the state of affairs and how we as a board can help you as best as possible in this discussion. And with the realization that DNS abuse addressing is a must, but we need to do so based on real facts and with a keen eye on our specific role in this. A new thing as well was adding supporting internet access in emergency situations. In March, the board directed ICANN.org to allocate $1 million in financial assistance to support internet access in emergency situations, while our initial intent was to ensure internet access for those in the Ukraine affected by the Russian-Ukraine war. The board also asked to evaluate how this helped to indeed help ensure unimpeded access to the internet and the free flow of information, that people can gain knowledge and exposure to a diversity of viewpoints and information, which is especially critical when timely access to information and communication may be life-saving. And last but not least, also the auction proceeds. In June, the board approved the recommendations of the cross-community working group on new GTLD auction proceeds. These were the proceeds that were received after the previous round, based on the auctions conducted by the organization to resolve issues where competing TLDs took place. The resulting ICANN grant program will deliver millions of dollars to projects around the world that support a single interoperable internet. And work on this is advancing following this approval. So these are a couple of key examples of what we achieved. We achieved a lot together. Consistently delivered on the mission for almost 25 years now, which has helped people all over the world to benefit in many ways, both in social and economic terms, providing access to people, to things, to data, to markets, and providing an essential infrastructure to enable our society to deal with global societal challenges, such as those expressed by the UN's Sustainable Development Goals and beyond. Our role is more important than ever, and we need to address the challenges to fulfill our mission effectively in a world where governments are considering legislation that could impact technical governance of the internet, not always aware of possible unintended consequences. And bad actors are increasingly sophisticated and taking advantage of unprepared users getting online. And new players are entering the namespace and potentially jeopardizing the existence of a single interoperable internet. These and other challenges we need to address today, and we need to plan for addressing these in the future as well. Because the internet is not for now, but for the decades to come. So our goal this week is to further explore how to continue to meet the challenges and opportunities that come our way. And I invite you all to contribute to this discussion, whether you're in the room or online. I ask you to share your views and to listen to others. Listening is necessity if we want to learn from the rich diversity of our stakeholders from all over the world. Listening offers an opportunity to contemplate viewpoints others than your own. And you may find it changes your perspective for the better. So let's ensure that all voices are heard, the loud ones alike the soft ones. This is in fact the basis of ICANN's commitment to its bottom-up multi-stakeholder model of governance, where the community is leading, supported by the organization, and where the board is providing oversight, ensuring that what we do is legal, in line with the bylaws, reasonable, and in the global public interest. Of course, the way we work together can always be better. Hence our commitment to continuous improvement. In doing this, we must remember that even though the acronym ICANN sounds like I can, there's not much we can do individually. We need to work together to get things done and to fulfill ICANN's mission. So my thanks to you in the community for your unwavering commitment to this work. Even in difficult times, you persevere and contribute where you can. Huge thanks also to our colleagues from ICANN.org, who have continued to support us and me over the years. Even when it was not possible to gather in person or even to work together in the offices as teams. Thank you all for all you do. And finally, I'd like to thank our hosts, the Malaysian Convention and Exhibition Bureau and the Tourism Promotion Board, as well as our guests from .mi here in the room, for welcoming us and making it possible to meet in this exquisite location. Terima kasih. So one more thing, the AGM is traditionally also a time of leadership changes in the community and this time also in the board. Exceptionally, with the AGM being held during the third week of September, the board combines its preparation for the AGM with its preparation for the organization of the board for the years to come. Through this process, we decided to elect Tripti Sinha as our new chair and Denko Jeftovic as our new vice chair. This will be done by vote on Thursday. I'd like to speak also on behalf of the current vice chair, Leon Sanchez, when I thank the board, the organization, and the community for its trust and support in us over the last 3 years. It's an honor and a true privilege to serve you, and Leon and I will continue to do so at the best of our abilities towards the future, and offer our full support to Tripti and Danko as they lead the board in the year ahead. I speak for the entire board when I say that we look forward to engaging with you in the coming week during the board meetings, with the community, and in other sessions, as well as in the corridors. Don't hesitate to approach us. We're here to hear from you. So with that, I would like to welcome to the stage ICANN.org President and CEO, Joran Marby. Thank you very much.
There's a very strong light here. Welcome to ICANN 75. ICANN's first hybrid annual general meeting in 3 years. It is fantastic to see everybody here. Also for myself, this is the first time I ever been in Kuala Lumpur. And here we are again. It's warm, it's raining, and it's in the morning. I have to make that joke about everybody who makes a joke that I make a joke about I don't like mornings. So this is for you guys. I'd like to extend a special thanks to the host, Malaysian Convention Exhibition Bureau and its Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Noor Ahmad Hamid, and the Malaysian Network Information Center and its chairman, Dr. Muhammad Awanglah. We are grateful for your hospitality. And thank you everybody who's joining us. Even if you're here in the room, if you're in the hotel rooms, if you're here remotely, it is your hard work, your commitment that makes this meeting possible. And although COVID forced us not to meet and have 7 online meetings, we were finally able to return. And I have to say, when we met up in Holland, that was the sort of pre-stage for this meeting. And I feel I'm just walking on some streams right now because I'm so happy to see you all. But the Hague meeting was a real success. There's been many meetings that turned into spreader events. The Hague meeting didn't. And the only reason for that was you. There says something about the ICANN community and the respect you show to each other, how to deal with people and treat with people, wearing the different badges and how you interacted. That was made the Hague meeting from a COVID perspective a success. And I thank you all for that. And I really know that that's going to happen also for this meeting. I always get a little bit sentimental when I go to the annual general meeting, I have to admit. Because in this room, online and around the world, there are people from governments, academia, civil society and industry, along with individual internet users. It's making it one of the few events that actually exist in the world like this. And this is one of the things that makes the multi-stakeholder model one of the most inclusive and democratic forms of governance. I've said many times, and I still believe, I think this is a large peace project. We bring people from all over the world together, from different stages in life, come together to work for one goal. In this room and online, we have more people from more than 100 countries coming together. I think that's a peace project. One thing is, so when I came started, we had a global mandate from the start. When I speak to the ones who was there from the start, or somewhere in the room, I don't think they ever imagined that we went to 5.3 billion users around the world. But remember, we have a responsibility not only for those who are online today, but also for the ones who are not online, to make it possible to be online. The power of the internet comes from a single interoperable network of networks that is easily accessible globally and locally. True interoperability requires global access to the internet. And when people go online, they need to be able to access easily in their own language and using their own keyboard. Remember, interoperable means that internet is technically accessible. We can do this by ensuring that everyone has access to the same system of unique identifiers. And it's still interesting that the majority of domains out there are Latin script and actually mainly English, despite the fact that less than 20% of the world's population actually do speak English. Some of us speak Swinglish. Far too many people are left behind, unable to benefit from the internet because they cannot navigate in their own language or use their own keyboard. That's one of the reasons why you're here. And we are, and you are working on to add non-Latin scripts to internet protocols and identifiers. By doing so, I hope we create an internet that is both global and local at the same time to welcome the next billion users. I want to create an internet that is not only interoperable for machines. I want to create an internet that is actually interoperable for people. So one of the things for me standing here is to talk a little bit about what we've done. And over the last 3 years, over the last 2 years, since we went into COVID mode, there is a lot of things that's been done. And I want to thank my team, the whole org, for all the hard work they've done. It's been incredible, but they're also very proud of what you've done together with you. For instance, only last year, David supported more than 4,000 community calls during 1 year. So what have we done? We, for instance, delivered a WHOIS system design twice. We've been working very intensively on the sub-pro ODP, and I want to thank the interaction with the community. We are in the final stages, as Martin said, to develop what we call the ICANN grant program. And we also, as you might know, just recently added a lot of public comment proceedings, which I'm sorry, they came, many of them at the same time, and it creates a lot of work for you. But I'm looking forward to the discussions this week, and I'm looking forward, as you know, this annual general meeting is important to me and my team. It's really when we come together, but you can also scrutinize me and the board. It's now your time to ask any questions about what we do. My job is to facilitate the discussions within the community, and I hope we're going to do a great job with that. But there are other challenges outside our world. You might know that in the next 10 coming days, there's a meeting, an ITU. There is an election for the ITU Secretary General. And there are really two platforms on that one. One of the candidates' platforms is to take over, wants to take over what ICANN does, what the RER does, what the ITF does, actually all the acronyms. We don't believe that. We believe that the multi-stakeholder model and what we've done in the ecosystem together with our partners has served the world well. It is important to maintain and fight for what we think is the interoperability of the internet, governed by the multi-stakeholder model as we're going forward. I think it reminds us of something. What we do is a little bit like fighting for peace. You don't fight for peace when war has broken out. You fight for peace before it's actually happened. We have to continuously work for the multi-stakeholder model now before it's challenged too much. Because there's one thing you never heard in your life, maybe you have, but it was 30 years ago. The internet went down. The internet doesn't work. It's constantly working. And if it doesn't, please call Nick. He's usually responsible for it. ICANN is unique. It's one of the few places in the world where representatives from government, civil society, academia, and business comes together. And I'll call this again. It's one of the last world's biggest peace projects. So welcome, my friends. And I know that this is going to be the best meeting ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joran. Echoing what Joran just said about internationalized domain names, in the past few years, the global script communities have formed generation panels to determine which letters or characters can be a top-level domain. And did you know that of the 26 scripts the panels worked on, 19 are being used in the APAC region? So please join me to thank the generation panels for their hard work in paving the way towards a multilingual internet and connecting the next billion, most of whom will be from this region. On Wednesday, there will be a session to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of the global script communities. The session is titled Celebrating the Multi-Stakeholder Model in the Development of Root Zone Label Generation Rules. Do join us for that session, which will be at 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, let us invite our next speaker on stage, Dr. Muhammad Awanglah, Chairman of MyNIC, who is also known as the father of the Malaysia Internet.
Mr. Martin Waterman, Chair of ICANN Board of Directors, Mr. Joran Malvi, ICANN President and CEO, distinguished speakers, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and very good morning. First and foremost, I'm honored to be here today, and my sincere gratitude to ICANN for inviting me to speak at the opening ceremony of 75th ICANN public meeting. In fact, I was requested to talk about my experience, the challenges, as well as the vision. I'll try to do that as much as I can within the limited time. On this occasion, I would like to congratulate ICANN for organizing this meeting, as it brings together the key players, experts, and professionals in different regions of the globe into one community that objectively focus and dedicated to working on issues that impact the future of the internet. It is an honor for us Malaysians, to welcome ICANN community to Kuala Lumpur, and it is an acknowledgement of the enormous role and contribution this community plays towards ensuring a secure and stable internet environment for everyone. The bottom-up, consensus-driven, multi-stakeholder model and discourse among the ICANN community has been pivotal in fostering developments and ensuring smooth coordinations of internet addressing ecosystem globally. This conference reminds me about INET 97, held 25 years ago in Kuala Lumpur in 1997, that brought together, if I remember correctly, close to 1,000 participants. At that time, there was no handphone the way that it looked today. So we had to provide around 200 desktop PC for participants to access internet. We managed to install a 45 megabits dedicated link to USA via submarine cable just before INET 97. It was among the first in this region, and a big jump from our first link, 64 kilobits via satellite in 1992. Prior to INET, I used to travel around the world every 6 months to attend a workshop among the pioneers of internet then. That was in the mid-80s. After that, the grouping became bigger and became INET meeting. Today, it became ICANN meetings. So that is a long progress that I've been involved in the past. The journey of my career, ladies and gentlemen, the journey of my career as a pioneer of internet in Malaysia started when I first came across the word internet in 1983. While teaching at the University of Malaya, my motivation was to address the issues related to lack of interactive long-distance communications then. We only have telephones, telex, and also telegram, not the telegram today, but the old telegram where you had to go to post office to send short message. You are charged based on how many characters that you send. I was then excited with the possibility of having email and discussion group, participating in discussion group. From there, my interest grew in trying to implement the internet. And at that time, only a few people were aware or interested in the internet. My experiment was done in just a computer room and I was working alone. And unexpectedly, it became the foundation of my career for the rest of my working life. Sometimes I'm called father of internet in Malaysia. I would like to think that I was just an internet midwife. The delivery was very challenging. Internet code then was buried in a tape of 4.2 BSD units. We were looking for open source program then. I was working with a VAX mini computer equipped with the drum hard disk, about a foot diameter, a foot length, must be put in the clean room. The mini computer was about the size of washing machine today. And a half-inch tape drive. There's a reel of tape. Today, we don't see that anymore. First, I need to read around 2 kilobytes of bootstrap codes from the tape and transfer the control of the computers to this little program to read the rest of the tape and transfer to the hard disk. I can read the first 2 kilobytes, but when I hand over, it's stuck, it stopped. So unfortunately, the bootstrap program expected a different model of tape drive. I end up spending about a month modifying the driver for the tape drive using assembly code programming. Luckily, I have some experience in programming using binary codes for the first generations of microprocessor while studying in London a few years earlier. So when I moved to MIMOS, this Malaysian Institute of Microelectronic Systems, in early 1985, I have more equipment, more staff, and more people to help me and to implement wide area internet connection. Strictly speaking, it was not internet as we have today. It's not TCP/IP. It was UUCP, Unix to Unix protocol, a copy protocol. Working together with several universities and local research institutions, there was some concern from people who were worried about sharing their million ringgit computers. They could not appreciate the benefits of global communications and knowledge sharings. Naturally, there were also concerns about security. I have also opportunity to interact with others which I mentioned earlier, to learn about how to get the internet or the connections done. This is how I learned. In 1986, we considered that the pilot network was done. That enabled a few organizations to participate in the network, just using a telephone line as a dedicated telephone line for connectivity between one organization to others. In 1987, I was entrusted by ICANN to manage .my domain on behalf of Malaysia. And the management of this .my was handed over to Mainik Berhad in 2006. That was almost 20 years later.
أنا قبل
Currently,
20 أو بعد 20
the roles as the registry and registrar and the sole administrator of .my domain in Malaysia. That mining is dynamically expanding its parts to engage with local and global communities to realize the value of .my. Mining is currently active in accelerating small businesses and conducting an initiative to empower Malaysian entrepreneurs to adopt a holistic online presence. Mining is also in the midst of opening up the registration of .my domain name to global market, and we run a pilot test in Q4 of this year. It is expected to open its registration to the rest of the world in 2023, next year. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysian government, specifically the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia, has always strived to work toward building an inclusive, sustainable, and accessible digital ecosystem. This has been done through various initiatives covering both access and adoptions. We have had National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan, NFCP, which has been replaced with the National Digital Network or Jalinan Digital Negara Jendela initiative, aims to improve the coverage and quality of broadband. On 5G front, Malaysia is approaching it using a single whole network model. Whether it's going to work or not, time will tell. So that is something that sometimes the debate is quite hot. Anyway, I won't touch on that. In 2021, Malaysia saw importance of internet as we embark on global digital economy and set forth in defining and recognizing the internet as a third utility. This new policy sets forth the additional fundamental human right for Malaysians apart from water and electricity. It is a defining moment for Malaysia. To implement this third utility policy, it is my personal views that we need to have a common and shared fiber optic infrastructure in all populated areas. Duplication of expensive infrastructure, such as fiber and towers, can be minimized. All premises, residential, commercial, and industrial, and any telecommunication towers should be within half kilometer from a fiber optic routes. Services such as FTTH, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi can be competitively offered by retail service providers. Cost to the end users will be lower and quality of service will be higher. Digital divide can be eliminated. And also to realize this policy objective, a meaningful competitive environment should be in place. We should strive to level the playing field to enable small players to compete and effectively and provide end users with more choices. They can be expected to be more innovative. Certain laws and regulation may have to be changed. If we keep doing something in the same way, we cannot expect a different result. So we have to change. I know this poses considerable challenges, but Malaysia is steadfast in ensuring that the future for the Malaysian can be realized by being dynamic and agile in ensuring that access to the internet reach all citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this 75th ICANN meeting is an excellent avenue and opportunity for the internet community to discuss complex and challenging issues in open, collaborative, and consultative manner. I'm confident that this 6 days discussion will be fruitful and beneficial. Lastly, I would like to thank ICANN and the co-organizers for providing me with this platform to welcome you, and I hope you can spare some time to enjoy Malaysian hospitality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Now, please join me to welcome the next speaker, the Chair of the Number Resource Organization Executive Council, Paul Wilson.
Good morning. Selamat pagi, selamat datang. I'm Paul Wilson from APNEC, the Regional Internet Address Registry for this region, the Asia Pacific. It's an honor to be here among members of the APNEC community, especially, but also for the Internet Numbers community as the chair of the NRO, the Number Resources Organization, which is an organization that serves the 5 regional Internet Address Registries. So thank you to Martin and Joran for this, for allowing the numbers perspective to be shared with the names community here, which after all makes up the majority of ICANN, perhaps 99.9% by my own rough estimation. We numbers folk really are the 1% in the room here, but I'd like you to bear in mind that across our community, we hold meetings like this one 10 per year, attracting maybe 6,000 or 8,000 people in total every year. I've actually just come from APNIC 54 in Singapore, which we hosted along with the Asia Pacific Regional IGF and the School of Internet Governance. And it was a great week with close to 1,000 people all told, online and on site. And I think that after 2.5 years away, the level of energy and engagement at that event really was at top level. It was great, really great to see. Because in one sense, life's been on hold for the last 2.5 years. But as we all know, life has gone on, and we've got the internet to thank for that, for many reasons which we all know, not least the cooking skills that we might have gained, as Jerome mentioned. But more than most, it's the communities of the RIRs who actually build the internet itself, who have been extremely busy because their collective work, as we all know, really is mission critical these days for the human race. In serving that community of the network operators, the RIRs also have a lot to do. We're strengthening registry services. We're looking after resilience of that system. We're looking after the moves towards better routing system security and serving a growing address transfer market amongst many other things. And much of this is actually a joint project work, which is where the NRO comes in, because the NRO helps us to coordinate all of those things and to represent those joint efforts in places like this. So with all this going on, what none of the RIRs really need is extra overhead at this time, or extra distraction or worries from what we have to do. But unfortunately, one of our number has been facing quite a lot of that during the last year or so. And that's the one that arguably is probably least able to absorb the extra burden and overhead. I'm talking about AFRINIC. And what I'm going to do now is to give the rest of this short time slot to the CEO of AFRINIC to give you an update about developments in his part of the world. And that's Eddie Kaihura, AFRINIC CEO, who's right here. So thanks to you all. Thanks to the hosts and the sponsors, of course. And over to you, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning. I am Eddie, the CEO of AFRINIC, the regional internet registry for Africa and the Indian Ocean. I've been leading AFRINIC since 2019, and it has been an interesting and eventful journey. I applied to AFRINIC CEO's position because I saw firsthand how this organization really made a difference in the digital space in Rwanda, where I come from. I've been part of this ecosystem since 2006, when I first attended AFRINIC in Kenya, and I've been passionately involved and committed since then. I have even been a fellow of the ICANN meeting in 2011 in Dakar. I woke up for morning briefing very early, but still enjoyed the experience. I'm not sure if they still do the same these days. And I encourage fellows and newcomers to take part in this journey, as it can lead you to places you never dreamt of. As Paul said, numbers are a very small part of this community, but they are an essential part of the internet resources ecosystem. Without proper, stable, and secure management of number resources, names just cannot resolve. Some of you have heard about the multiple challenges that AFRINIC is facing as an organization. If you don't know about these challenges, that's good, but I think you should be aware of them and create some discernment about them. For those who might not know, we are currently in the middle of multiple legal cases documented on our website. But today, I want to appreciate the importance of a working multi-stakeholder model at the global level and to encourage each one of us to think what outcome we want from all of this. Let me stress that this is not only about Afrinic as an organization. This is about the internet in Africa. And I'm here to suggest that this is also about a working registry system that we all depend on. And this is about a stable global internet. Hence, this is also about ICANN and its community. Allow me to give an example of a situation that proved to us the resilience of a multi-stakeholder community. Last year, for 2.5 months, our bank accounts were frozen by a court decision. The level of pressure that we have faced could have paralyzed the organization and impacted the stability of the internet. It was a very critical situation. The existing mechanism at the NRO, in the form of a stability fund was an insurance that the system will be able to cope with this pressure. And this fund could have sustained us for over a year. In the end, that was not even needed. Our internet ecosystem is so well done that different layers of community support started to kick in with much solidarity from different parts of our membership and community. Even when our bank accounts were frozen, we continued to honor our key commitment and never stopped providing services. Surely, it was a challenging moment, but Afrinic continued to provide services non-stop. As I said earlier, we are in the middle of multiple cases, legal cases, and we trust and respect the decisions of the court. However, there is no question that Afrinic, the regional internet registry for Africa and the Indian Ocean, needs to continue operating and delivering services with no interruption. This is essential for the internet. The stability of this ecosystem is a community matter. It is part of the global ecosystem. And we appreciate the support from ICANN always. The world continues to evolve, and so does our bottom-up environment with new challenges, as we've heard multiple stories of the pioneers of the internet. The pioneers of the internet built this system in a manner that would prevent capture, and we ought to strive to keep things as such. Our governance structures and processes can only improve and become stronger. The only way to achieve it is through community participation. We at Afrinic also commit to continue to provide the best services possible to our region, and we will continue to encourage community participation towards a stronger registry for the African region and Indian Ocean. I'd like to end thanking you for the opportunity to share this story as part of the Numbers community. Terry Makasi.
Thank you, Eddie. We've now arrived at the first highlight of this session, a new addition to our welcome ceremony, the presentation of the Dr. Tariq Kamal Award for Capacity Building. We introduced this award in January 2020. However, as we only had virtual annual general meetings in the past 2 years, this will be the first in-person presentation of this award. Let me invite Martin back on stage to tell us more. Martin, please.
It's truly an honor to present this reward. This reward that has been established by the ICANN board in honor of the late Dr. Tariq Kamal, an internet pioneer known for his contributions to the global internet governance, and also a good friend to many of us, an inspiration for those who knew him well. This award recognizes members of the ICANN community who've made significant contributions to national, regional, or global capacity development programs related to ICANN's mission. In previous years, the ICANN board selected Ramanu Bayu and Satish Babu as the recipients of the award in 2020 and 2021, respectively. After considering a number of very worthy candidates proposed by the community, considering the significance of contributions to national, regional, and global capacity building programs related to ICANN's mission, and achievements in developing capacity building programs that positively influenced the multi-stakeholder model and diversified participation at ICANN, we achieved consensus on the winner in 2022. And I'm very pleased to announce that the recipients of this year's award is Wolfgang Kleinwachter. Wolfgang is a longtime member of the ICANN community who has held many roles in ICANN's community groups, including at large and the GNSO. He was also a member of the ICANN board and the nominating committee. Wolfgang is Professor Emeritus of the International Communication Policy and Regulation at the University of Aarhus in Denmark. And he's been involved in internet governance since the early 1990s. Over time, he developed a number of activities in capacity developing, including founding the Summer School on Internet Governance and the European Dialogue on Internet Governance. And this inspired many others to move with that. With this award, the ICANN board recognizes Wolfgang's significant efforts over his lifetime in capacity building locally, regionally, and globally. So congratulations, Wolfgang. And thank you for your many contributions to the internet community. And thank you for joining us during Zoom, via Zoom, during your night time. What does this award mean for you?
Thank you very much, Martin. And good morning to Kuala Lumpur. And here in Germany, it's very early morning. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Let me say some words. And, you know, capacity building is the natural responsibility of an academic person. But if it comes to capacity building and internet governance in academic institutions, there is a difficulty because academic institutions are organized around disciplines. You can go to a law school, to a business school, you can study information science or political science, but internet governance is a multidisciplinary phenomenon. And so when I started a master course in 1997 on internet policy and regulation, this was really an experiment, but it worked because it reflected what we call in Germany the Zeitgeist. And I could use all the experiences in the discussion on the World Summit on the Information Society, where I served also in the UN Working Group on Internet Governance, where a lot of academics argued in the conversation with governmental representatives that capacity building is a priority and you cannot take decisions if you do not understand the issues on the table. So this has paved the way to the Internet Governance Forum. And when we had a UNESCO-sponsored meeting in 2006, nearly 20 years ago, about the follow-up from the Tunis agenda, we produced 2 ideas. One was for research, which is now known as the GigaNet, and the other one was for education. And this became the summer school where I organized the pilot project in Meissen. And insofar, you know, thank you very much for this award, because my thanks goes to all the friends and supporters who who enabled us to do this great capacity building program with the summer school in Meißen, which started in 2007. So this includes Sandra Hoferichter and Rainer Rodewald sitting in the machine room. This includes a number of faculty members, and it includes also the supporters and sponsors, and many of them are members of the ICANN community, like Denik, like Sidin, like Norit, like Switch, like Nick.at, like RIPE NCC, like ISOC and CGI, BR, and in previous times also Sira, Auda, Asia, Affilias, and CSENIC, and many others. So without this support, this could not have happened. And this summer school in Meißen was really an inspiration also for others. You know, Hartmut Larsen, Olga Cavalli, member of the faculty in Meißen, created the South School on Internet Governance. So Henriette Esther, who is in the African School of Internet Governance. We heard that there is now an Asian Pacific School of Internet Governance. Glenn organized a virtual School of Internet Governance, and we are now more than 25 schools of Internet governance around the globe, which are collaborating under the umbrella of the Internet Governance Forum in a dynamic coalition on schools on Internet governance. So more than 1,000 fellows every year are learning in a multi-stakeholder environment, and these are the Internet governance leaders of tomorrow. Finally, let me add a very personal remark to Tarek. So I know Tarek since the 1990s, and we became friends when he was the chair or the president of ISOC Egypt. When he became the minister in Egypt. So he invited me to a business prepcom meeting to Cairo, and he helped also to launch the Arab School on Internet Governance at the eve of the IGF in Sharm el-Sheikh in 2009. And when he lost his job in Egypt, I invited him to the ICANN Studienkreis in Oslo. And I was very happy to see that Tarek did find a new home in the ICANN family. And so we shared a lot of values on a free, open, interoperable, and unfragmented, safe and stable internet and the multi-stakeholder model. We shared a lot of ideas, a lot of plans, and a lot of visions. And we shared also the pain of the experiences of very bad illness, cancer. And so I shared my optimism with him, and I always hoped that he will win the battle, but unfortunately he lost. And so my thoughts are with Tarek. My thanks goes to ICANN that it created the Tarek Kamel Award, and I'm very proud and very thankful that I'm this year's winner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wolfgang. It's a pleasure and honor to know you and to present this award to you. And we'll make sure it finds its way to your home in Germany. All the best wishes from all of us.
Thank you, Martin, and congratulations again, Professor Wolfgang. Now it's time for the second highlight. It's cultural performance time. Today we have with us the Malaysian Drum Symphony. This performance showcases the diversity of the Malaysian cultural heritage. You can see various instruments on stage here. Although they are different in size, origins, and sounds, when orchestrated together, they form a beautiful melody that is uniquely Malaysian. It is a celebration of unity in diversity and reminds me of our multi-stakeholder model of governance. So please join me to welcome the Malaysian Drum Symphony. The Malaysian Drum Symphony, everybody. And thank you for sharing the energy. Hopefully the energy will keep us upbeat throughout the rest of the week. Now, before we adjourn, here's a small logistical announcement. If you're intending to stay for the next session in the room, which will be the Q&A with the ICANN.org executive team, coffee break is available at the back of the room on my right. Otherwise, coffee breaks are also available at the usual stations on the third floor. With that, this concludes the opening ceremony. Thank you and have a great, energetic ICANN 75. Terima kasih.